Miss Dusty so much. Glad he's back. That was just a little taste of his personality and demeanor, and those are just a couple reasons why, Tom, he is called the perfect hire. What other reasons do you have?
Yeah, if I were to put a list together, a checklist for Jim Crane, the owner of the Astros, this is an unusual time. We talked about finding a manager so close to spring training. On my checklist, because of what you're following here, to clean up after the sign-stealing scandal, you need somebody with dignity, somebody with integrity, somebody who can kind of be a human heat shield, because the heat on this team is not over with the suspensions of the manager and the general manager and subsequent firings. It will continue into the season. As you can see in that press conference, Dusty is great at being that kind of human heat shield, deflect negativity. And finally, winning pedigree. Look at this resume. There's nobody else Jim Crane could have considered who brought the kind of winning pedigree that Dusty Baker does. So it's a lot about timing, right guy at the right time. Unusual circumstances, but they arrived at the right man at the right time.
Smoltz, I think we've all been fortunate enough to spend time with Dusty. He is beloved around the game. But this is different. For the first time in his career, he's really putting on a heel hat. Because everywhere this team goes outside of Houston, they are going to get booed relentlessly. And there's a good chunk of players in the majors who feel some type of way about the Astros. How does he go about navigating that and managing this clubhouse with so many stars and personalities on it?
Yeah, and that's a great question, because the word that comes to me is like you're wearing a shield to deflect, right? I played for one of the greatest deflectors in all of baseball, Bobby Cox, for 21 years. And he took stuff he should have never took. Like, there was times where I wanted to go, why are you letting the player, why are you taking that for the player? I mean, I understood it after time. I look back and he wanted everyone to focus on what they could do. And playing baseball is hard. Now, playing baseball is hard. You throw this on top, it becomes almost impossible if your mindset is not one of unison and somebody that gets out in front and says, boys, we got a good team here, and we're going to focus on winning this division, then we're going to focus on winning this first round and ultimately the World Series. He's dealt with challenges before, but they were more of ego challenges, right? Characters in a clubhouse that he was able to take in that maybe other people couldn't deal with or had a hard time, and he was able to make that functional. This is a little bit different because this is not just going to stay in the clubhouse, meaning, to your point, everywhere they go for a while, it is going to be asked. It's going to be shouted. It's going to be always a reminder that 3 years ago, we're not okay with what you did, right? That's going to be the mantra. And he's going to do what he did in this press conference, so laid back and say, no big deal, boys. We're just a new ship. We're going in this direction. And I think the one thing that's intriguing to me, because the first thing most people think, because the game's so advanced and so analytic, most people go, how's he going to deal with that? This is a guy that managed forever and has been out of the game. And I honestly think that will work itself out, because the system the players have been under is going to continue to channel their information. I am really interested when we get a chance to sit before him in a game and we ask him questions. You're going to get honesty. Yeah. And I think that is the best play right now. You didn't need someone to run from it. You didn't need someone to get in like a shell and just never hide. And that, if you could go back, the one thing I think the Astros didn't do get out front as players, that is why the manager is here, I believe.
I mean, he talked about blending old school and new school. He referenced B.B. King and Eric Clapton playing together, Rolling Stones and Muddy Waters. Tom, he said his message to the team is stay together. That's what Bill Walsh had told him, legendary coach for the 49ers. And this is a team that should win together as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, he loves sharing his musical taste as well. I mean, he'll give players albums to look into or books to read. He's voracious when it comes to just really absorbing everything about culture. And I think that's why the players, no matter the age difference, Dusty's, 70 years old, doesn't matter. He still connects to players, even the younger players on a team. That's the case here. He's always been a player's manager everywhere he's gone. I don't think that's any different here in Houston. As far as actually running the team here, he's a guy, I think he's got a similar staff, pitching-wise, that he had in Cincinnati and he had in Washington. He lets the starters work through their own trouble more than some managers. He's changed with the times. He's a guy who used to bunt a lot early in games. That was a long time ago. In Washington, he was actually below average when it came to sacrifice in sacrifice situations. So he's always been adaptable. That's why he's been able to still relate to players. And I think it's a ready-made team. There's no question about it. He's there because this team can win the World Series. This is not, I mean, he only has a one-year deal with an option. This is not, look down 2-3 years down the road. Everywhere he's gone, the 4 places he's managed, they have improved the first year he's been there by an average of 16 wins. Ain't happening this time, by the way. They won 107 last year, but now he has to win the last game of the year. That's what this is about. And not how many wins, but win the last game of the year.
And that's something he wants to do, Tom. That's the last thing on his resume.
Exactly. He said that when he went to interview in Houston. He said, I need to win a championship. Only G-Mark has managed more games without a World Series title than Dusty Baker. He's a student of history. He's a competitor. He wants the World Championship as a manager. He's come close, I think, more than anybody that I know of. I mean, you think about paying your dues. Dusty's done more than just pay his dues. I think about a couple of times he came super close. You have to start with 2002 World Series, right? Against the Angels, Giants are 5 outs away from winning. Russ Ortiz pitched the gem. Dusty takes him out, and people said, well, he gave him the game ball. No, he gave him a souvenir because Ortiz pitched an incredible game in a potential clincher. And then the relief pitchers came in and didn't get it done. That was Rodriguez, gave up a 3-run homer to Spezio. Worrell comes in. Erstad hits the home run. Now he tries his closer in the 8th inning. Yeah, he went to his closer in the 8th inning, Rob Ned, and then Troy Glass got him. By the way, the winning run, an unearned run, set up by an error by Barry Bonds in left field. That one got away. That was a historic game. You see Percival closes it out. They win Game 7. And you talk about heartbreak. I mean, Cubs fans.
North side, avert your eyes.
It doesn't hurt as much now that you have 16 in your pocket, but still hurts watching it, right? And really, beyond that one play, it just completely unraveled here. 8 runs scored in this inning. They were up 3-0 with Pryor on the mound. Big base hit right there. The big key here was this error here by Alex Gonzalez. That really kept the rally going here. Could have been a double play. Certainly was 1 run there. But that was a game, obviously, they had in their pocket, 5 outs away from going to the National League to the World Series. And they gave up an 8 spot in the 8th inning. And actually, in Game 7, they also had a lead with Kerry Wood on the mound and lost that game. So Dusty's played his last 10 times to close out a series. He's lost all 10 of those games. And think about the last game he managed in Washington, D.C. a couple of years ago, Game 5 against the Cubs. This rally went on so long. I think it's still going on right now. But the last game he managed against the Cubs, Game 5, the NLDS, they had a lead with Scherzer on the mound. There are 4 ways to get on base without making contact. It never happened before. It happened in succession in that same inning where they blew the lead, where it was a walk, a catcher's interference, a hit by pitch, and what am I missing else? A drop third strike. Bang, 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 4 in a row. I mean, the guy's had the worst luck in big games. You talk about someone paying his dues. Dusty's due.
Yeah. Dusty Baker back in the bigs as the manager of the Houston Astros.